So you probably heard of the thing where people watch The Wizard of Oz while listening to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. People call it Dark Side of the Rainbow. Well, I went ahead and I made a commemorative illustration of this phenomenon. I'm not going to explain the whole experience because this will be way too long. You can Google it. The TLDR is that the movie and the album sync up in this cool way, but mainly I want to talk about something that came up for me while I was working on this, and I think it's worth putting out into the world. When this first started in the 90s, it was like kind of a fun party gag. We all tried it. It was fun. We wondered about how it came to be, but we didn't actually care. And recently when I was drawing this, I listened to some YouTubes and podcasts to see if there was anything new about it. And of course now in 2026, people are like, Pink Floyd proved that we're living in a simulation. Jesus, Christmas trees. Like one person even said, how did the Wizard of Oz know that 50 years later, Pink Floyd was gonna, I'm not kidding. This is out there. Anyway, so everyone from Joe Rogan to Stephen Colbert to a whole bunch of people have covered this. And here's the problem. This seems to have become a debate that you're supposed to pick a side to. Was it deliberate, or is it a coincidence that only stoned teenagers noticed? You have to pick between conspiracy theory or stoned teenager. I'm here to tell you we're doing it wrong. It's yet another thing ruined before the next generation gets it, I'm telling you, as someone who did my senior thesis on synesthesia, as someone who has to speed up or slow down on the highway to make the underpass line up with the song on the radio, there is a special nook in my heart for this type of phenomenon. And if we want to steal it back from conspiratorial binary answer hunting, you know what? I'm not even going to say which one I believe. It doesn't matter. There's a third and way better option if you listen to this until the end. I'm not going to pick apart all the little lyrical coincidences, but I will point out some of my favorite compositional coincidences. It's that epic vocal performance in Great Gig in the Sky, honestly one of the most triumphant parts of recording history to me, and how it syncs up perfectly with the tornado scene. I honestly don't think they could have edited that better if it were deliberate. The most talked about parts are when Dorothy opens the door from black and white into color and you hear the cha-ching of the cash register in the song Money. And then later in the song Money, when it goes from the 7/4 beat into the danceable 4/4 beat, all of the Munchkins and Dorothy start jumping up and down as they go skipping down the yellow brick road. Cool, right? Or Dorothy pounding on the Tin Man's chest to the sound of the heartbeat at the end of the album. Oh my gordita. You don't have to be a stoned teenager to enjoy this kind of thing. It's cool. But so far, no one has mentioned what I think is the best coincidence of them all. And if I'm the only one that noticed, then maybe I'm the crazy one, but I'll come back to it. As for the debate, I'll say this. There are rational arguments either way. I find both sides believable. If any band were going to do something like this, right? I mean, Pink Floyd, it's not that out of character for Pink Floyd. They do stuff like this. It's not like a Celine Dion album lined up perfectly with the movie Weekend at Bernie's. This. And if you think about it, with all of those long instrumental interludes, I think they could have easily just decided to line up a few key parts, like the song Money. They could have put right where they wanted it. And then with all of those musical interludes, they could have fudged it left and right on the album until it fit. But I mean, they could have, not must have. I'm just saying it's possible. And conversely, you can't really put any music over any album without it affecting how things look and sound. When they sing Run, Rabbit, Run, just as Dorothy, or maybe it was Toto, starts to run. I mean, run is not an uncommon word or activity. It would actually be weirder to make it all the way through this experiment without this happening once or thrice. If it were Alice in Wonderland, Run, Rabbit, Run might be a little more sus, but it's not, so it ain't. Side note, the band has stated that they had nothing to do with this and that it's a complete coincidence. And there is an argument to be made for them having a good reason to deny it. They did benefit from it being a coincidence, but I'm just going to let those cancel each other out, and I'm not even going to factor it into this. I'm picturing the chat room in 1995 where this started. Roger Waters sitting there typing, pay no attention to the man behind the screen name. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not advocating for this narrative. It's not impossible. It's not like the earth is flat level conspiracy. It's like artists making art level conspiracy. You know what I mean? So anyway, my sister and I did some science on the matter way back in the day. Maybe we're just being stoned teenagers, but we were ambitious. we conducted an experiment where we tried this on. We picked visually stimulating movies and dramatic albums and did this like 3 or 4 times. I think it was Nightmare Before Christmas and the album Billy Breathes, or maybe it was Rift. There was also, I think, like Alice in Wonderland and maybe Magical Mystery Tour. I vaguely remember like The Big Lebowski and probably like Radiohead or something like that. I don't honestly remember. But point is, it's always pretty good. Like instrumentally and lyrically, things line up. But here's the thing. I remember during Nightmare Before Christmas, there was this like super dramatic scene where Jack the Pumpkin King was walking through the set, and it was insane how the music was also super dramatic and dark. And we went back to that spot in the movie and watched it, and it was just like the regular, movie sound. And it was just a normal, boring, in-between scene. I mean, we were listening to Fish. The whole thing's going to sound like hell demons riding snails around a circus tent, Our brains use our senses in tandem with each other, which is why a movie soundtrack is such an important part of a movie. It sounds like I'm saying I'm on the side of it was just a coincidence to be enjoyed by stoned teenagers, but that's not actually what I'm saying. None of these other movie and album combinations worked nearly as well as Dark Side of the Rainbow. Not even close. And I think there's a reason. This is why great art often behaves like magic and witchcraft. Like, look at the album and the movie that we're talking about here. Like, here's what's not a coincidence. They're both flagship masterpieces of their respective genres. Like, hundreds of years from now, when you learn about Hollywood in art history class, Wizard of Oz is going to be on a short list of examples given. And similarly, if people are studying rock and roll hundreds of years from now, and they use one example of a rock album, it would probably be Sgt. Pepper. But if they use 2 albums, one of them is going to be Dark Side of the Moon. So if these 2 line up perfectly as a complete coincidence, if it's just something that our brains made happen, that's a colossal triumph of art and human creative ingenuity, and an absolute gift given to us by our neurology and our senses and our need to make meaning out of things. Not to mention just like a gift of living in the right time of like media history. So for naysayers who are like, I'm not falling for that, it's not something you fall for. It's something to enjoy. Like, it won't make you a stoned teenager. And so far, I've never, in all of the podcasts and YouTubes where people hash this out, I have never heard the one biggest, most meaningful coincidence of all of them. And I'll say it here. More so than the cash register sound when she opens the door to Technicolor, more so than the rainbow on the album cover, the biggest synchronization is not visual or audible. It's the plot, the literary content itself. The Wizard of Oz is about a hallucination that echoed Dorothy's reality. Dark Side of the Moon is about experiencing mental illness because the real world is the one that's insane. We missed that coincidence. In all of our debating whether it's all in our heads or if it's real life, we missed that one. Like, call me crazy, but if the arts are a religion to you too, then this is kind of an act of God, am I right? Like, don't let the muggles ruin it, So yeah, I did a commemorative poster. Who knows by the time you see this what the availability will be of the original or the prints, but I'll update in the thing below, whatever. Anyway, thanks for coming on this ride with me. If you want to remove your tinfoil hat and go back to the normal world where they talk about normal things, just click your heels together and say there's no place like home.